We're going to make a program to control a robot using a while loop. And specifically, when this robot needs to move from its starting position, come close to a wall, the opposite wall, and then return to its starting position. And I'm not going to stop the robot from moving. It's just going to keep moving back and forth if I continue to play the program. So I need a playground. So if I click on playground, and then I click on grid map, that's a fine one to use. I'm going to drag it over here so it's not in the way of my program. All right, so now I'm going to make a program, and it will have a while loop. So for instance, that's something I could start with. So I find the while command here in the control section of the blocks program. By the way, this is a blocks program to do this. All right, so the condition in the while loop is going to control the robot's motion. And so there is a ability to sense the distance to an object, and that's here, distance in millimeters. It could be distance in inches from another object. So I'm going to use that, but you'll notice this ellipse shape does not fit into this hexagon shape. So I do need to compare the robot's sense of distance to another object with something. So for instance, how about this? How about while the distance, you'll see this ellipse now fits into this ellipse here in this condition. While the distance in millimeters from another object is greater than 50. So again, the condition you want here is a condition that needs to be true while your robot is functioning, while it's acting. So for instance, while it's moving forward, for instance. So again, this statement has to be true while what action you want the robot to take happens. All right, so just want to point out that this, if we look at this view, we see that there is a wall there. Okay, so now what do we want to happen while this condition is true, while the robot is far from a wall, greater than 50 millimeters? We simply want to drive forward. You'll notice this drive forward command fits into the while loop. Just a point, you don't want to drive forward for a certain distance. And the reason for that is if you drive forward for a certain distance, you may be very close, the robot may be very close to the wall, and you're saying as long as this condition is true to do it. If you're driving 200 millimeters and you're right here, you're going to hit the wall. So you only want to drive incrementally forward, very little bit every time you ask this question. Is the robot further than 50 millimeters from the wall? Okay, so the next thing would be, once it gets to the wall, once this is false, what's going to happen? And so I want it to come back. So I am going to turn right. It doesn't matter, it could be left. But instead of 90 degrees, I'm going to turn all the way around. Then I'm going to put another while loop. So I'm going to go down to, again, the control section, find the while loops, put that in. And this will be my return trip. So I could do that, right? And that would stop then if I wanted to go down here. But what I could do is I could put this here, and I could put a condition here that would make this just keep happening. So it doesn't matter if I'm going forward or backwards. As long as I'm not 50 millimeters or less from the wall, this while loop will happen, then it will turn around. So what condition can we put here? Let's look for a condition that will always be true if I want to just keep moving, for instance. So for instance, here is something that would be always true if I put 50 in here. 50 is always equal to 50. Now again, you could use the forever block for this, or the repeat until block for this, but I like to use whiles because that's what you have in text-based program, right? So now this while will happen forever until I stop the program. This while will happen as long as the robot is greater than 50 millimeters, and then once it fails, the robot will turn around. Let's watch. Wonderful thing about vexcodevr programming is it highlights what step you're at. Now our robot's turning around because it reached the wall. Now it's going backwards. And you'll notice the backwards motion is in the same while loop as the forward motion. and this will keep happening forever. Thank you for listening.